Okay, so we are going to get our spray booth turned on and operational. So the switches we've got here on the left, we've got an on button, switch that one on, and we've got a red light on the front. On the front we have a light switch, and turn that on also. And then up the top we have two settings, a low and a high setting. I generally use the high setting most of the time. And the green light will come on and we're ready to go. Let's take a look at the compressor. So this is a compressor that comes with a chamber. Let's turn it on, a little red button at the back there, and what we'll see is the pressure start to build up the gauge on the front of the tank. So that's got an automatic cutoff, so don't need to worry about that. Just take a minute or so for the pressure to build up. There is a gauge at the front there as well, and a regulator there to increase or decrease. That should be set, so we shouldn't need to worry too much about messing about with any of those settings. What I would say is always make sure you wear gloves when you are using the spray booth, because it can get very messy. Okay, so let's take a look at the airbrush. So here's the airbrush. This is a dual action airbrush, and what that means is when you push down on the lever, air will come out. So you can see that rise and fall there. Air will come out, and then when you pull that lever back, the paint will start to come out of the nozzle. And the more that you pull back, the more paint will come out, and you can paint as appropriately with it. So how do we get some paint in the guns? There's a couple of options. What we have here is a gravity fed cup, so we can put the paint straight in there, and then we can just find our lid, pop that on, and your paint is safely inside. There is another way. We can pre-mix up some paint in a little glass jar, so we can undo this one, take it off, and we'll have a look at another way of getting paint into the airbrush. And here we have a little glass jar that we can place some paint in. And how this works is the paint will get sucked up from the bottom of the little jar. So let's look at getting some paint in there. Okay, so let's get some paint on the go. So we're going to use this ultramarine blue. So pop the top off, and we should pour some in container. Now we might want to change the consistency of this paint, so when we're thinking about consistency, we kind of go from a milk consistency, so you're looking at full fat milks, quite thick, down to skimmed milk, which would be quite thin. So majority of the time we want to use semi-skimmed. So add a little bit of water to that. I've just used that syringe there because it's quite small amount, so it's tricky to maneuver it. And then we shall just give it a little stir, make sure it's all nicely mixed together in a consistent liquid. Okay, when we're happy with that, we can stick the lid back on. So make sure the spout is in the pot, and just turn it by hand, and then we're ready to spray. I'll give it a little test out, and there we have a nice working airbrush, ready to spray whatever we want with it. Let's take a little look. There we go. So we can start spraying till our heart's content. What I would recommend is to do some practicing and do some test pieces first, just to get yourself familiar with the gun. Just pick up some scrap card, just just practice, do some little test pieces as well so you can get used to the airflow and the paint flow. Okay, so if you've got some leftover paint, you want to decant it into another pot. We can put a lid on, hopefully keep for another time. And then we'll take this and give this a wash out with some water. So put the airbrush back in the clean water. Now we're going to try cleaning it out. So give it a little spray, get some of the water to come through. We want to clean it out as much as we can. You can see the water coming through there. Now what you might want to do is just put a little bit of pressure on the end of the nozzle and give it a little flick back. It kind of gives a bit of a backwash, cleans out some of the. Be a little bit careful. It can be a little bit messy, so just be a bit careful with that. You can see there that the paint has been backwashed into that tub. So what we will do is take that off and dispose of that down the sink and get a fresh batch of water to wash through the gun. So we'll go through the same process. We're going to spray the water. There you go, you can see the clean water being sucked up through the tube. Again, just give it a little backwash. You see the bubbles coming through. And that's giving the airbrush a thorough clean. We're going to repeat the process again. It's really important to do this because if it isn't done properly, then the gun will block up. So another tub of clean water, screw that on, same process. You can see that's going through much cleaner now. Now we'll do the backwash and there's hardly anything coming through, so that water is staying nice and clear now, so we know that we've pretty much got all the paint out of there. So I'll just keep it running through for a few more seconds. I just want to check on a little test, and there you go. Look, you can see that there's no paint coming out. And there we go. We have a nice clean airbrush.